Hello, thank you um, for being in this discussion. Today we shall be discussing about sale of goods. We shall do a bit of the introductory part. You need to know that this discussion will be very brief. We will start by the definition of the contract of sale of goods. Contract of sale of goods is defined under Section 2 of the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act, which states that it is a contract by which a seller transfers or agrees to transfer property in the goods to a buyer for a money consideration called the price. So, when party A and party B enters into a contract to transfer, that is to give ownership, if A is the buyer and enters into a contract with B, who is a seller. B, as a seller, transfers or agrees to transfer the ownership of that good to the buyer A for a money consideration called the price. That kind of dealing will be termed as contract of sale of goods. Um, a contract of sale of goods can be unconditional or conditional. It's according to the terms of the contract. A contract can be conditional or unconditional. So, how can you perform, how can you form a contract of sale of goods? A contract of sale of goods under Section 5 of the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act. A contract of sale of goods can be formed in a written manner, it can be formed orally, or it can be formed through both ways. You can form it through writing or by word of mouth. Part of the contract can be formed through writing, and part of that same contract can be performed through the word of mouth. So, Section 5 clearly states the formalities of the contract of sale. You can you can form it through writing, verbally, or you can use both. So, what are the essential elements of contract of sale? The essential elements. What constitute a valid contract of sale of goods? In a valid contract of sale of goods, there needs to be essentially three elements, which we earlier saw in the definition under section 2. There has to be the parties, a seller and a buyer. The parties have to be distinct from each other. An individual cannot be both the seller and the buyer in the same agreement. So the parties have to be distinct from each other. The second essential element here is the subject matter, the goods. The goods we are talking about here, we are meaning movable goods, we are meaning chattels. The contract of sale of goods does not govern fixtures or land. Under contract of sale of goods, we will be only talking about chattels or movable goods. I believe under your land law, we know what a chattel mean and what a fixture mean. So there has to be a subject matter called the goods. The goods can be existing or future. You can find that under section 6. It can be existing or future, or can be specific or unascertained. You can go ahead and look at that under section 6 of the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act, Cap 292. Yeah. So the third essential element, the third essential element is the price, the money consideration, the money consideration called the price. Under section 2 in the definition of sale of contract of sale of goods, you see the money consideration should be the price. However, in some circumstances, we shall see that parties can agree. Part of the contract can be part of the contract. The consideration in a part of a contract can be some goods, like it can be in terms of some goods. Maybe you like exchanging. Let me say, if I want to sell you a chair, you can say it's okay. I am selling you this chair. You'll, in return of your table, in return of your table. But the chair I am selling cost 200,000. The table cost approximately 100,000. So the seller can accept the consideration in terms of the table, and the balance and part of the consideration will be in terms of the money. It will be money consideration. That can also be termed as a contract of sale of goods. Yeah, it is not barter trade. Don't be confused, because part of the contract was money considered. So, how do you determine price? How do you determine price? And what is a price? Under section 2, price is a money consideration. Excuse me. A price is a money consideration. How can you ascertain or determine price under contract of sale of goods? A price can be ascertained or determined in three main ways. A price in a contract of sale of goods can be ascertained through the contract itself. It can also be obtained through the manner of the contract, and it can be obtained through the course of the dealings. I believe you know what we mean by course of the dealing. For example, if you have been doing business with you for 5 years, same kind of dealings for 5 years, and I've been purchasing that goods. For example, let me say I was purchasing cars from you for a period of 5 years, and I've been purchasing it at a price of 150 million. For 5 years, I've been purchasing it at a price of 150 million. So, in that course of dealings, we already know that once I am purchasing this car, same kind of car, once I'm purchasing it from the seller, the price is 150 million. The price has already been dictated through the course of the dealing. But if there's any change in price, the seller will have to let you know. You have to be given a reasonable notice by the seller. Um, you can go ahead and read the case of Roland versus Devo. Roland versus Devo or Deval, where the buyer recovered a full price of payment of the car from the seller, who was not the original owner of the car. So the buyer shall pay a reasonable price. The reasonable price is measured by the prevailing market price. You can check this under section 9. You can check this under section 9 too of the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act. So let us talk about the time of payment. How do they ascertain the time of which the buyer is supposed to make payment? So if no contract, if there's no if there's no existing contract between these two parties, the time is not of an essence. But if there is a contract between the parties, if there's an existing contract between the parties, time will be of essence. And if one of the parties is at fault, breach that condition as per the time, that party can be held liable for breach of a term in a contract. You can find that under section 11 of the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act. However, unless otherwise agreed, the medium of payment in a contract of sale is money. So the parties can agree, as I was telling you before, the parties can agree to exchange the goods in return of another goods, but it will be done for a money consideration. That is also contract of sale of goods. Thank you.